Between Europe and Asia, economic dialogue, humanitarian missions, multi-vector operating, and the search for compromises in the world arena. How else does Kazakhstan participate in the development of the modern world? For more details, watch the program Kazakhstan International Vectors. Today you will find out what new types of tourism are gaining popularity, what does the tourist security mean, and how Kazakhstan attracts foreign visitors.
Since ancient times, people were going on trips with a variety of missions: fact-finding, scientific, commercial, diplomatic, military and other missions. All these travelers needed certain services from the local population, for example, in housing and food. It is believed that the term tourism itself appeared only in the 19th century, along with the first enterprises for the production of tour services. Today, more than 1 billion people travel annually to foreign countries. Thanks to this, tourism has become one of the leading sectors of the world economy. It accounts for 10% of global GDP and 6% of total world export. According to the World Tourism Organization, each 11th working place in the world is connected to tourism. Thus, the development of this industry can influence the economic and sustainable growth of many countries.
Tourist preferences in the world today are paradoxical, experts say. The geography of travel expands, and while scientific progress supplies more and more technological novelties, people are increasingly choosing the pristine nature for their recreation. A vivid example is ecological tourism, and according to foreign experts, the potential of the Central Asian region in this matter is inexhaustible.
Kazakhstan has great potential for ecotourism. It's more wild tourism in real natural areas. But you can also combine it. You can stay in the villages close to the protected areas, and then during the day you can visit the protected areas. So we also look into the combination of it.
Even the most confirmed urbanist from time to time prefers the stone jungle for a quiet weekend in nature. It is especially pleasant to combine beautiful landscapes with the knowledge of a new culture, says Asel Alisherova, the owner of the Ethno village situated in the foothills of Zailiyski Alatau. Asel has long been in tourism. In 2000, she opened her own travel agency with the goal of developing this industry in Kazakhstan.
And I came up with the better solution for me at that time, to save my personal money and further invest the accumulated sum. And it turned out that in 2007 we bought this piece of land. There was nothing here at all. We had high grass, no roads, no lights and no water, literally nothing. But there was a lot of desire in us to create, and we had a beautiful landscape. Well, you know, it was just blowing from us that in the future it will be something new in tourism, and now we have a result, such a wonderful ethno village.
Everyone should know their origins and history, Asel says. After all, without the past, there is no future. That is why such ethno-villages are created first of all for the people of Kazakhstan. For example, here in the Hans you can not only enjoy the mountain scenery, but also try yourself in the role of a real nomad.
We show general activities of jiggits. We train adults and children to sit properly on a horse. Indeed, we teach them to be a real nomad.
Such events attract foreign guests to Kazakhstan. They come here with whole delegations and take an active part in the entertainment program.
We have a big order for team building on May 23rd, you remember? And on May 24th we have 40 people with an overnight stay. They also take the full entertainment program.
Asel believes, with such natural beauties, it is impossible not to develop tourism in Kazakhstan. In addition, the country has a tradition of warm reception of guests. Legendary hospitality of local residents undoubtedly increases the attractiveness of the country as a tourist object in the eyes of foreigners.
This is what needs to be solved now, when we stand on the eve of the fact that we'll have an expo this year, when thousands and thousands of visitors from different countries will come to us. The more we are recognized, wherever in Australia, in New Zealand, in Africa, wherever it is, the more people will know about us, the more they will come here to Kazakhstan.
International experience has proved long ago that a developed tourism industry can become a serious source of state revenue.
According to the World Tourism Organization, the most dependent on travelers' money are small island states with exotic nature. Taking this into account, most of all in the world earn the Virgin Islands, Great Britain. Income from tourism per capita there is slightly more than $17,500. On the second place, the former Portuguese colony of Macau, with slightly more than $17,000 per person. It is followed by a small country in the south of the Caribbean, Aruba, with almost $15,000 per capita.
The tourist cluster in the countries of Central Asia began to develop not so long ago. The share of tourism industry in the total GDP of the states of this region is less than 2%, while in countries where tourism acts as an important element of the economy, this figure exceeds 10%. The main reason for the small flow of tourists to the Central Asian region is the lack of awareness of the importance of local historical and cultural monuments and tourism opportunities.
Before we worked in Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan of course has its uniqueness because of the yurt tourism and the nomad life, which is still a little bit lively culture in Kyrgyzstan. But if tourists come to this region, they come maybe once a lifetime to Central Asia, and they want to see also the other countries. So during one visit they might visit Kyrgyzstan and then Kazakhstan and maybe Tajikistan or Uzbekistan. So we need to develop the full region. And I think also Kazakhstan on itself, with the steppe landscape and the mountains, has also its quality by itself, yeah, as a country.
Speaking about Kazakhstan, experts point not only to the lack of in-depth knowledge about the country beyond its borders, but also the lack of information for foreign tourists within the state itself.
People know Kazakhstan. It's quite well known as a country because of the oil, etc. But people don't know exactly what you can see here. So we need to do much better promotion also of the qualities of Kazakhstan and the diversity and the largeness of the country. Yeah?
Therefore, the task of all regions of Kazakhstan, including major cities today, is to create simple, basic information points for foreign tourists, but not only for foreigners, by the way. Anyone should be able to come up and get free information on when and where he or she might want to go for sightseeing and what will be the cost of staying.
The issue of tourism security is one of the main issues for travelers. Fresh data on the absence of epidemics, civil unrest, crime in a particular country are very important, and Kazakhstan's accession to the UN Security Council to some extent obliges the country to develop information paths and connections, as well as to control all levels of security.
Up to the issues of safe clothing, safe food, safe bed and so on, this will be a whole complex which includes the concept of safety or security. And if we talk today about a secure journey across Kazakhstan, then today we can happily say that our country is safe for travelers.
People come to Central Asia also for new culinary impressions. Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan are among the top 5 popular destinations for gastronomic tourism to Central Asia. Therefore, food safety plays an important role in the development of the tourism industry in the region.
It is absolutely obvious that today we just all need to sort of go back to school in order to understand the origins of this Turkic civilization. Why the nomadic people of the whole world do not have dough in their kitchen and why the Kazakhs do have it. Why there is a dough? Because all nomadic people understand the way of life which has formed a certain cuisine. And it was just meat, but we still have dough. Why did this happen? And at what stage did this formation of the final national dish take place?
Cross-border cooperation of Central Asian countries in terms of tourism also needs to be developed. After all, if we talk about foreign visitors, most often when they come to this region, they want to visit several countries at a time, because it is the territory where one of the most interesting routes of the region lies.
For several years now, there has been a project of the Great Silk Road, which is one of highly demanded products on the international tourist market. But unfortunately, at the same time, it is the route which is constantly experiencing difficulties. There are issues of national visas. There are issues of mutual recognition of visas in the countries of Central Asia. That is, traveling around the Great Silk Road is one of the most costly, both in terms of finances and in preparation for this journey.
In order to attract tourists and improve tourism security as a whole, experts suggest not only to remove administrative barriers but also to establish additional points of temporary pass. This will simplify the process of crossing borders of the countries of the region, including for fans of mountain hikes.
There are border crossing points for citizens of Kazakhstan, citizens of Kyrgyzstan and third country nationals to the territories of Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan. But at the same time, in the mountains there are places which have always been a favorite route for eco-tourists, for extreme tourists. And today we raise this issue with our partners from Kyrgyzstan, because these are tourists not only for Kazakhstan, they are tourists for Kyrgyzstan also. That is, markets of both countries are able to earn equally.
The fact that Kazakhstan now acts as a part of the UN Security Council is called promising. This means that the country has a trust on the international arena, and thanks to its participation in such international organizations as the UN Security Council and UNWTO, Kazakhstan, as a recognized leader of the Central Asia, has the opportunity to uphold and advance the interests of the entire region.
I think different countries are leading in different types of sectors. Like in Austria and Germany, you have a lot of agrotourism. In Italy also agrotourism is very well developed because the people have big farms and they used to live there with 3-4 generations, and now only one generation is left, so they have lots of rooms left which they then rent out to tourists, so it's very well developed.
The main product of tourism in Kazakhstan is ecological tourism. Studies conducted in Germany, Britain, France, South Korea and Japan show that foreigners have a high interest in eco-tours to our country. According to some reports, the potential number of guests willing to visit Kazakhstan is about 10 million people.
I think Kazakhstan has great potential, because you really have wild areas of nature which most in Europe you cannot find that anymore. And it's also quite unique, yeah? Like these wild apples and maybe walnut trees. So that's something we don't have in Europe. We have apples, but we don't even know there are wild apples and where they come from. Yeah? And they are lots of plants and which we use and eat, like tulips, are coming from this region.
According to Kazakhstan Tourist Association, ecotourism is not only a priority sector in the economy of a country, but also contributes to its sustainable development. Organization has been existing for 18 years. It implements projects in several segments of tourism at a time.
The main segment of our activities is the work on draft laws. We have a very competent working group which includes market players, lawyers. We are scrupulously sitting, working with draft laws, and given that unfortunately the legal literacy of most of our players in the market is low, we are just practicing these bills and then we inform our market.
However, in the country as well as in the whole region, there are great opportunities for promoting other types of tourism: extreme, cultural, cognitive, archaeological, medical and recreational. By the way, to the last of the listed, in recent time the interest increases, and the number of people willing to purchase a health-improving tour is equal to the number of people who prefer to relax on the beach. There are investment projects for the construction of a recreation area and large 5-star hotels at the Alakol coast and also in Kapshagai. We also have winter ski resorts like Akbulak in the Talgar district, which already corresponds to the European standards of service. The KTA is trying to listen clearly to what is happening on the market. The association assumed the main function of informing. To internal participants of the market, it reports what is happening in international tourism. Foreign guests about how and in what directions it is better to organize their routes. Therefore, the association actively cooperates with European colleagues.
Вот сейчас у нас начался трехгодичный.
Now we have launched a 3-year project on ecotourism with the European Union. Before that, we've created 88 guest houses and we continue to work with the local population to create even more. This is the cheapest infrastructure in demand. This is in what ecotourists are interested when coming to Kazakhstan. This is what they need. That is, this accommodation, this is 3 meals a day with accommodation in the home of the local population, in a room specially reserved for reception, or it can be a separate house in the yard, etc.
Отведенный для приема или
Within the framework of the joint project with the European Fund for Education, KTA specialists were the first in Kazakhstan to develop professional standards in the hospitality industry. Since this year, these standards have been approved and are working, and on their basis, modular programs for educational institutions have been created. The first certification center in Kazakhstan for hospitality industry was opened recently.
мы смотрим, если это
We are looking if a hotelier, or rather if it is a supposed maid, does she know the technology of cleaning a hotel room? If this is a receptionist, does he or she know all the technology of check-in and check-out? That is, can he or she check in the guest and check the guest out of the hotel quickly, efficiently and competently?
если это туристский менеджер,
Good tourism is safe tourism, and often the experience of foreign countries and the recommendations of the world community help to make it so. For example, after a series of terrorist attacks in Europe, British tourists expressed their concerns about their safety during the rest. In this regard, the Foreign Ministry of Great Britain has made a list of detailed recommendations for its citizens wishing to visit other countries. So the British are warned that in Liechtenstein there is a moderate danger of avalanches during the winter sports season. Hurricanes are possible in the Bahamas from June to September, and there is a danger of earthquakes in Japan.
Experts of the World Economic Forum made a traditional rating of the countries which are most secure for tourists in 2017. Finland is the leader of the rating. It is followed by the United Arab Emirates. Iceland closes the top 3. The last in the list of security was Colombia, 136th place. The rating was compiled on the basis of various factors, including armed conflicts, the crime level and the terrorist threat.
Australia is one of the most secure tourist routes in the world. More than 400,000 people visit the country monthly, despite the fact that the most dangerous animals live on the Australian continent. The fauna of the country is riskier than that of any other country in the world, both on the sea and on land. There it is possible to meet crocodiles, jellyfish, sharks, poisonous snakes and spiders.
Frankly, I can compare when in 2006 I went to London, I told everyone what Kazakhstan is, where it is, and that it's not Russia, it's not part of Russia. And now, already in the year 2012 and 2013, when I went abroad, I was told already, yes, you are from Kazakhstan, we know your country, and so on. This definitely is a great success.
If a country positions itself as a tourism-oriented, then all civil society should live with an idea of tourism development, Asel says.
Мы любим нашу страну, и мы
We love our country. We propose to visit it with love. It is very important. And I think we have a very great tourist future. We just need to correct everything a little. We need professionals to come to the management. We need business people to participate in the legal development of the industry.
профессионалы.
In the prospects for domestic tourism, we currently have plans to expand the recreation area of Alakol because we still have the emphasis on its development. In the future, we also have other plans. The construction of the 141-kilometer road to the Lake Balkhash is in perspective. We will firstly develop infrastructure, electricity, drinking water, and we plan to further develop the Balkhash coast.
Электричество в первую очередь. And surely also for domestic tourism, I think Kazakh people maybe not appreciate yet to the fullest what they have from their nature, and lots needs to be developed and opened up. Many of the parks are still difficult to reach, so you need also to invest as a government in the infrastructure in the parks.
The tourism industry in the world is among the 3 largest export industries, behind the oil industry and the automotive industry. It needs to be developed, increasing the share of inbound tourism, promoting the national product, providing sufficient state support and tourist security.